They forgot about Elijah Reed. After the accusations, the beating, the silence from the cops, he just disappeared. No press release, no revenge post, no drama. He just vanished. And for 5 years, he didn't say his name out loud. Not once. Not to strangers. Not to friends. Not even to himself. He became a ghost. A shadow in back rooms and side hustles. People thought ghosts were dead. But Elijah, he was becoming one. He worked every single day. Fast food jobs during the day. Online classes at night. Libraries in between. One laptop. Secondhand. Slow. But it ran Python. That's all he needed. Sometimes his hands shook from hunger. Other times from caffeine and no sleep. But he didn't stop. Because every sleepless night, every skip meal, every time someone looked at him like he was less, he remembered Celeste Vaughn's face, the smirk, the lie, the silence afterward. And every time her name flashed through his mind, he typed faster. The rejections came like clockwork. Loans? Declined. Partnerships? Ghosted. Pitch decks? Ignored. He wasn't even asking for a handout. Just a shot. But no one gives ghosts a shot. So he made himself unkillable. It started small. A plug-in for e-commerce businesses to auto-track refund abuse. He sold the prototype to a tiny logistics firm in Boston. $500. He didn't celebrate. Next, a web tool that helped small law firms verify document authenticity using blockchain. No investors. No partners. Just Elijah and caffeine. It sold for $18,000. He didn't buy sneakers. Didn't post about it. Didn't tell a soul. He just bought a faster laptop. Paid off 2 debts. Ate something with protein. Then went back to work. 3 years in, he launched something bigger. A platform. Legal logic. Built for startups who couldn't afford lawyers. Terms. Contracts. Data privacy. All auto-generated and auto-defended. Bulletproof. Lawyers laughed at first. Then firms began using it quietly. Then investors started knocking. Elijah didn't answer. He watched the money grow like mold in the dark. $50,000. Then $200,000. Then $2.1 million in funding from a faceless syndicate in Zurich. He signed the deal without showing his face once. Used a firm. Used an alias. Still never said his name. Until one day, he did. The first time he said aloud again, it felt wrong. Elijah Reed. He tried it quietly. Just once. Not in anger. Not in pain. In ownership. He was no longer the boy bleeding on pavement. No longer the name behind a fake scandal. No longer a question mark. He was the answer now. He bought into 3 hospitals. 4 patent portfolios. 2 software companies. 1 clean energy firm. And still, not a peep on social media. Not one spotlight. Elijah wasn't here to impress anyone. He was here to outlast the lies. And when the board members asked for a photo, he smiled once. The same smile he gave Celeste Vaughn when she handed him her card 5 years ago. Polite, blank, controlled. Like, you think this is a real face? And the whole time, her name never left his mind. Buried under layers of growth. Yes, but not gone. Never gone. Because ghosts never forget who killed them. For years, Celeste Vaughn lived like gravity didn't apply to her. Private jets. 2 stylists. An assistant for her assistants. She didn't just have money. She had the right last name. And that meant never hearing the word no. But after her father's plane dropped out of the sky, along with every insurance-covered secret he'd built to protect her, no came fast. And often, her father's company didn't just pass to her, it collapsed into her. A pile of debts dressed as assets. Fake partnerships. Over-leveraged property. Burning cash like gasoline. But Celeste didn't believe in fire. Not until it burned her. She kept hosting meetings. Even when half the board stopped showing up. Even when the company's CFO quietly stepped down. She smiled through it. Like nothing was wrong. Like fake confidence could still bend the world around her. But numbers don't lie. And they weren't afraid of her anymore. Lawyers whispered things she never heard before. liquidation, debt exposure, net operating loss. She blinked at the terms, as if they were offensive. This is a phase, she told herself. They're just testing me. But the universe wasn't testing her. It was collecting. People stopped answering her calls. Investors, friends, even the women who used to worship her at those exclusive brunch clubs. She wasn't trending anymore. She wasn't feared. She was expensive. And nothing else. She started showing up places she used to be invited to. Doors didn't open as fast. Hosts looked confused. Sorry, the guest list changed. You can sit at the bar, Ms. Vaughn. We're closing early tonight. Every no cut deep in the last. Because Celeste Vaughn didn't know how to be ordinary. She sold the penthouse. Told people she was downsizing. Told herself it was temporary. But even the new apartment came with demands. Rent, utilities, interest rates. She didn't speak that language. She borrowed from the wrong people. Fast loans, untraceable interest. And when they called, they didn't call with reminders. They called with warnings. Don't play smart, Celeste. We know where you live. She laughed. Once. Then locked every door. The last time she walked into a loan office, they didn't even ask her name. They saw the purse, the worn shoes, the makeup hiding tired eyes. And they knew. Sorry, the woman said, without even looking up. We can't help you. That was it. No one owed her explanations anymore. Because Celeste Vaughn had finally become forgettable. She used to own silence. Now silence owned her. She used to make people afraid. Now she was afraid of everything. And the worst part? She still thought this was rock bottom. It wasn't. Not yet. Celeste Vaughn had run from many things in life. Responsibility, guilt, love, taxes. But she'd never actually run. Until now. Shoes gone. Makeup ruined. Designer coats soaked and dragging like a dead weight. Behind her, two men who used to call her darling. Now, they wanted payment. And they weren't asking nicely anymore. She turned a corner too sharp. Almost fell. Caught herself on a lamppost. The city didn't care. Nobody stopped. Nobody helped. No cameras. No phones out. She wasn't Celeste Vaughn anymore. She was just another woman running from something in the rain. Miles away, or maybe just minutes, Elijah Reed drove in silence. He didn't listen to music. Didn't take calls. Not really. Just that hospital update. Another contract. Another piece of the city with his name on it. Reed Medical Group will fully take over Midtown Private by Q3, the admin said. Elijah nodded, didn't smile. He didn't smile much anymore. His car rolled through the city like it didn't touch pavement. Custom build, bulletproof, the kind of machine that says, I made it out, and I remember how I got here. He blinked, saw the light change, pressed the brakes gently. And then she ran into the street like it was the last option she had left. Maybe it was. Elijah slammed the brakes hard, but too late. Her body hit the hood, rolled, crashed onto wet concrete. Then the sound of tires skidding into stillness. He got out fast, rushed over, didn't hesitate. People stared from sidewalks. No one helped. He checked her pulse. Still there, faint. She groaned, tried to speak. He leaned in, but she passed out before the words made it past her lips. Elijah didn't recognize her. Not the woman who screamed lies and watched him bleed. This face was pale, thin, older. The Celeste Vaughn he remembered wore diamonds on her throat and lawsuits on her lips. This was just a casualty. I want her admitted to Reed Midtown Private Wing. I'll cover everything. They loaded her into the ambulance. The EMT asked, You family? Elijah paused. No, he said, but she's under my care now. He didn't ask who she was. Didn't care about her story. Didn't need to. Just another person broken in the middle of a city. He called his staff. Reed Midtown, he said. Private suite. Immediate trauma unit. No press. No visitors. Treat her like someone who matters. The irony didn't even register, because Elijah had no idea. He just saved a woman who once tried to destroy him. He didn't recognize her. But fate never forgets a name. She woke up to a bed that smelled too clean, linens that weren't hers, walls that were too white, too quiet. Celeste Vaughn blinked at the ceiling like it might explain something. She tried to sit up. Pain sliced through her ribs. She gasped. A nurse appeared instantly. "Easy," the nurse said gently. "You were hit by a car. You've been out for 12 hours. Celeste swallowed hard, tried to speak. Couldn't find the words. "Where am I?" she finally whispered. The nurse smiled politely. "Reed, Midtown Private Unit. You're in our executive recovery wing." Her heart paused. Reed Midtown? That place cost more per night than her last apartment's rent per month. Her brain stumbled over the name. Reed. The breakfast looked like a magazine ad. Nothing processed. No plastic cups. A handwritten note sat beside the berries. She touched it, read it twice. RMG. Reed Medical Group. She set the fork down. Appetite gone. Why the hell would they take her in? Who called them? Who paid for this? She reached for her phone. Gone. She rang the nurse. Who admitted me? The nurse hesitated. I'm not sure if I can say. Celeste's voice hardened. You will say. The nurse looked uncomfortable. He left instructions not to disturb you. You're covered. That's all I can share. Covered? By who? She couldn't stay still. The silence was too heavy. She left the room, dragged her feet down the hall like a ghost. This place wasn't a hospital. It was a hotel for the powerful. Marble floors, smart glass doors. Even the nurses whispered. She reached the main corridor, turned a corner, and collided with someone solid. He reached out, caught her elbow. Careful, he said flatly. She looked up and froze. It was him, Elijah. Same jawline, same voice. But the softness? Gone. He looked untouchable, sharp, powerful, like money and revenge had made a home inside his bones. Her mouth fell open. Elijah? He blinked, raised an eyebrow, didn't say anything. Elijah Reed? She tried again. He looked confused, like her name meant nothing to him. Elijah, it's me. Celeste, she called out. Nothing. He just walked, slow, composed, controlled. A doctor passed by, nodded deeply. Good morning, Mr. Reed. A nurse? Sir, the East Wing charts are ready for your review. Celeste staggered. Mr. Reed? Charts? He wasn't just a patient. He owned the room. He walked into the elevator, didn't turn back. And as the doors closed, Celeste finally whispered to herself, what the fuck is going on? The boy she'd broken now wore her future like a suit. And she couldn't tell if he was ignoring her out of mercy or something far, far colder. She didn't want answers. She needed them. Celeste Vaughn stormed to the hospital like she still owned something. Maybe her pride, maybe her past. But the staff didn't look scared of her. They looked cautious, polite, like she was a problem, not a priority. She slammed her hand on the counter. Who brought me here? She asked. The receptionist flinched, cleared her throat. Your care was arranged by Mr. Elijah Reed, she said, then added softly, this hospital is part of his foundation. Celeste blinked. Mr. Who? Elijah Reed, the woman repeated, firmer this time. Your admission was flagged urgent. He gave orders personally. And right then, the doors opened. He walked in. Elijah, same calm pace, same unreadable face. But this time, everyone moved around him, like gravity had changed direction. Nurses stood straighter. A doctor stepped aside. The guards adjusted their posture. No one needed to be told who he was. She turned. He passed. And just before he reached the elevator, a guard nodded low. Good afternoon, Mr. Reed. She froze. The same guard she once barked orders at, now bowing. For him. Another one added, The East Wing has been cleared. Sir, your instructions were followed. She staggered back, confused. You're greeting him like this? She spat. He's a nobody. He's... The words died in her mouth. because they weren't listening to her anymore. Her gaze landed on the wall. A plaque, marble, gold lettering, Reed Midtown Private, founded by Elijah J. Reed, and below it, a quote, "To those who were overlooked, we didn't forget you." Her knees weakened. She once used silence to erase him. Now his name echoed louder than she could scream. Their eyes met, and for the first time, he recognized her. No smirk, no anger, just stillness. She opened her mouth, but the elevator doors shut. Silence. Again, but this time she once thought destroying him was the end of the story. But some stories don't end. They evolve. And sometimes the people you try to bury are the ones writing the chapter you'll spend the rest of your life trying to survive. Don't ever confuse silence for weakness. Sometimes silence is just the sound of someone sharpening their power. You've seen what happens when lies go unchecked. You've seen what silence can become when no one's listening. So if you're still watching and haven't subscribed, ask yourself this. Would you even recognize the person you left for dead when they came back owning the building you're begging in? Hit subscribe now, because the next part of the story, it's not forgiveness. It's reckoning. And if you still won't subscribe, go to the comments and tell us why. Let's see who's bold enough to bet against Elijah Reed twice. Don't ever confuse silence for weakness. Sometimes silence is just the sound of someone sharpening their power.